Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for chatting with me. Thanks for hanging out with me. Ah. Hopefully you can hear me. Got the mic hooked up. Finally. Let's see. Let's see if we got sound. Yo. Yes, we do. Hopefully I sound clearer. I'm gonna leave the headphones off tonight. Sweet. Alright, so I came across this tweet. Yeah, whatever. I came across this tweet. Let me share my screen. What are the most common first-time startup founder mistakes you've seen? And I kind of want to dissect the responses and stuff here tonight. I think we've all either been in this position of being a first-time startup founder or see people who are trying to get an idea going, whether that be in Bubble or not. Or rather, whether that be an app idea or not. I think we kind of, us in, Kevin, what's up, man? I think us in Bubble Land tend to think that, like, all of the new app ideas and things that are coming, like, they all revolve around technology. But there's a lot of people out there, content creators, and, to me, a founder is anyone who's just trying something new that isn't really, not fully employed, right? You're trying a new idea. Well, even if that's a content creator on YouTube, you're kind of forging your own path. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for anyone that does that, because it's hard. No matter what you're doing, if you're refusing to take a paycheck in exchange for charting your own path in life, I have like a lot of respect for people that do that, because it is not easy. I've been doing it for the last 3 years, and my hat goes off to anyone that's going down this path as well. So I tend to see, and I guess I have to talk about this in the context that I know it, of people who, a lot of the people that I met who were coming through the Bubble boot camps when those were still active, and the people that are just building apps for the first time. Right, so yes, I'm being pretty narrow on that in the context that I'm speaking about it in, but I think it's important because everybody seems to be making the same mistakes and has the same mindset when you have a new idea that you're trying, or a new problem a novel problem that you're trying to solve with a technology solution, or you simply said you're trying to build your own a new app idea. So I think the big thing with one of the big thing. Well, let's see what people are saying, and we'll see whether it lines up with what I've seen in the boot camps and whatnot. Let's see if there's a different view to this. That doesn't work. Yeah, I guess this is the easiest way to do it. All right, so Abdul, not understanding the 10x mindset necessary to put in the right massive action. 10x mindset. I'm not really sure what that means. If anybody's watching that understands what the 10x mindset is, let me know, because I've never heard that before. 10x effort, I'm not sure. Worrying about scaling before they've even launched the product. This is a good one. I see this constantly. So many people keep saying how important scaling is and totally forget that you actually need to see some traction before even thinking about it. Yes. Okay, so this is something that I see quite a bit. You're thinking about scale before you've even clearly defined the problem that you're solving, number one, and whether or not this is actually a problem that people care about enough to give you money too. I see this mentality, and I had this same thing. Like I remember specifically for me, I was so concerned about which programming language. When I had an eight before I found Bubble, before I had any way of building apps. I went to a I had an HR related startup idea that I wanted to work on, and I quit my job over it, and I went to Upwork and hired a development team to do that. And I remember being overly concerned about which programming language that it was going to be coded in, because I don't know, for some reason I thought that that was, I think I probably got some advice from some developer or some tech person that said like, yeah, just be careful about which language it is in. And you know, it was in Ruby. I think they wound up coding it in Ruby, and probably SQL for the back end or whatever. But I had no idea what I was building at the time, right? I didn't know if I was really solving a problem that people cared about. The idea, the concept of solving a problem for people hadn't even entered my mind. I just thought, ooh, I have a cool app idea that I want to build. That was it. And, you know, in retrospect, of course, it seems silly to not even have thought about that, but that just was, you know, what it was at the time. Hang on one second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. All right, I'm back. Where was I? What was I blabbing about? Oh yes, the first time that I built that app, Ruby SQL. Yes, and again, in the same. Let me stop sharing for a second. In the same vein, I was still very new to this, and just overly concerned with things like scale. Right now, I think this changes a little bit there when you do have some traction on your idea. If you've already built, like I know a dude now who's building a learning management system for chiropractors, and he's built his site on WordPress, and he already has paying customers. So if he was thinking about expanding into different states with different chiropractor requirements, that I would kind of understand, because you already know what people are looking for, and you have very deep insight into which problem you're solving. So I think in that context, it does make sense. Yeah, I should be thinking about how my app is going to support 10,000 users, right? But that's like the level. Like if you have 10,000, say, don't think about a million users. If you don't even have 10 yet, don't think about a million, right? Same way is if you have, you're trying to get your first 500 users, build for that. I think there's this concept of like, oh, I want to build for, I want to build for scale. But you're going to wind up rebuilding your app any number of times throughout the life cycle, right? As you grow, you're going to need to rebuild your application. Your users' needs are going to change. The features that they're asking for are going to change. The way that you store and process data is going to change, just as much as the user interface is going to change as you learn from your people who are using your app. So I think that going in with the mindset of I'm gonna probably have to rebuild this at some point is this kind of the way to think. You're never gonna get it right out of the gate if you're first starting out with this thing, and and the idea is untested, unvalidated. You're gonna just have to figure it out as you go. So don't hesitate, and don't try to build for your 10,000th user if you don't have anybody on your platform yet. It's just you're not there yet. You're in chapter 1. So that was definitely me. What else are people saying here? This tweet got quite a few comments. Show more replies. We've encountered clients who want to do everything themselves. We came in pretty late to the project, and we saw the client was wrung out. Delegating tasks to employees or experts is a lesson for all founders. I think there's something to be said about delegation. There definitely is this kind of trend now to be a solopreneur, just doing everything by yourself, working by yourself, kind of just, I suppose the mentality is you can move faster if you're by yourself. But I do subscribe to that saying of like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. There's something to that. So I don't know. I don't know if I fully agree with the the whole shift towards solopreneurship, though I do understand it. I kind of have a bit of it in me too. The idea of not having to rely on anybody to build your company is very attractive. Okay. Believing that the product is equal to the code, though many second and third timers carry this false belief. The product is equal to the code. I wonder what that means. The product is equal to the code. The code that underlies it, like is a founder thinking that is what's valuable, the way that the software was coded. If that is what's meant here, then I agree with Anna that is not something that you should worry about. I don't think that is the way the code is written. Again, like the last thing, it's always going to be changed. Humbly accepting my mistakes. A glaring mistake I made at Caps Club, building with no distribution. Finally had to accept an acquisition offer far less than what I dreamt. Started talking about the problem today. Meet like-minded folks, gather feedback. Sure, that all makes sense. Is that it? Is that all of the comments on here? I guess so. Show more replies. Oh, no, there's here. Overthinking stuff. Reading too many people's posts about what you should do and thinking they know everything and you should listen to them. The issue is that the internet makes everyone experts, so make your own deductions and decisions. This is something that I definitely have a hard time ignoring. When I'm even thinking about what to, even like something like this, like what to stream about or what to post on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube, whatever content you're putting out, you're worried about what other people are going to think about it constantly, right? And if you're in that state of like, I have to listen to this person, and what is this person going to think if I post this? You'll never put yourself out there, and that's a tough thing to get over. I just recently started posting on Twitter again, or tweeting again, because I don't know. I went into it was weird. I kind of just went into a funk of like, I have no idea I have nothing to say. I have nothing to post. But I realized I kind of was just overthinking of what to post and got kind of frustrated with it. So I definitely agree with that comment, with that tweet, where it's like you're listening to too many people. Like, what do you want to do? What is it? What are you feeling is right? Even if you're wrong, maybe still just put it out there and find out that you're wrong instead of someone else's voice trying to guide you on what to do. I've never been less more unhappy than when I've kind of felt like I was filtering myself based on what someone else's idea. So yeah, there's something to that there, or someone else's advice. Although I did get some good advice from KP, who I spoke with back when he mentioned something along the lines. I remember I was building a platform for Bubble freelancers, and what he told me, Bubble freelancers with the problem of like scope creep, right? It was an idea that I had. So everyone was complaining about scope creep and working with clients, and even if you're working for a company, I guess there's always this scope creep for developers. And so I wanted to solve that. And what he told me was, why are you building if you're how did he say it? He worded it in such a way where he was like, if you're a blacksmith, you don't want to build tools for other blacksmiths, right? The analogy there being, if you can develop software, don't build a tool for other software developers. They can build that themselves, and they're probably not going to pay you for that. Build software for people who have no idea how to solve their problem, or that they even have a problem, and have no connection to technology, or they have no way of building this, right? They have no concept that this problem can even be solved with a technology solution. That's the people that you want to build for, because they're going to be willing to pay you money to solve their problems. Whereas a software person is probably just going to try to build it themselves. And there's also a certain amount of like pride, right? Like, oh, I could do that better, right? Like there's that barrier, that a bit of cockiness that you can build stuff. So that was some good advice, and it hurt kind of at the time, because I had put at least 4 months into that idea, building and just trying to talk to people and see whether I was solving a problem that they cared about. So I felt a little bit lost after that, but ultimately I see that was smart advice. I shouldn't be building for other bubblers. They can build their own solutions. Why am I building for them? I need to build for like real estate companies, or people who need like like in fintech or you know, like a solution to financial problems or whatever, wherever the technology, whatever sector where the technology is lagging behind 5-10 years is probably a good fit for you know, these development platforms, because they don't know how to solve their problems. They think that you know, only certain people can do this. Anybody can build this stuff, but if you put the time in. So I appreciate that advice, KP. Okay. Can't agree more. As a founder, your goal is to ship your product as soon as possible. Only the market can tell you if you're right or wrong. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big. Most of you that have heard me talk before have probably heard me say that I don't think there's you can really ship your product too early. I think that if you are building something and you don't know how it's going to be received, if you're waiting for that moment to say, oh, let's put it out there and see what happens, you're already way too late. You've already kind of like built way more than you should have before you put it in front of somebody and, you know, validated what it is that you're building. You know, like I'm a big believer that your users, your first users, should be part of the build process. They should be involved every step that you're building. They should be involved and have some kind of say in that. Stakeholders, I believe the product management people call it, should have stakeholders from day one, people that are interested in this, so that you're like when you launch, it's or when you, yeah, when you send it out, it's like it's not a question of when if people are going to sign up or not. You know they're going to sign up because they were part of that process and they helped you build it. If they're invested in even helping you build it, then they're going to sign up. Like they wouldn't have done all that work and been committed to giving you feedback and stuff if they weren't going to use it themselves. That just wouldn't make sense. The worst is when you get the more, you know, the more non-committal, like, oh, that's great, that looks awesome, you know, that's great, John, that's exactly what I needed, and then when you launch, you never hear from them. Like that's more often than not, that's what's happened. So yeah, it's definitely I think but if they're actually giving you like helping you with the process, there's a good chance that they're actually, it's a real problem for them and they're really interested in your thing. Neil Pierce with Atomic Fusion said that he did that from day one. Anytime he shipped a new feature on Atomic Fusion, he would send out a tweet. And he said, like, yeah, I was afraid I was being annoying, but I don't think anyone found it annoying. I think everyone was just like, oh, man, Neil's building Atomic Fusion, and he's really doing it in public. Everything he's putting up, he's anything that he's building, we know about it, right? We know exactly what he's going to build. It's not a surprise. And it's the same thing for him. It's not a surprise if he puts 20, 30 hours of development time into a certain feature. He's not guessing whether or not it's useful. People have already told him that it's useful. Similarly, I don't know if anyone's been checking out Atomic Fusion these days, but Ranjit is putting up some crazy templates. Everyone should be checking that out because he's got some crazy UI stuff going on. And I know people were concerned when Neil sold Atomic Fusion because they were worried that, you know, we don't know who the new owner is or which direction he's going to take it, but he's killing it right now. You got to check out what he's building. I'm really impressed. Like, from someone who doesn't have a design, I lean pretty heavily on people like Neil and Ranjit who can make those beautiful dashboards that I can just copy and, you know, act like it's my own. Oh. All right. What do we got? What else we got here? Okay, when they're trying to take seriously or laugh at I don't know who this is. Memes? Don't ask how I know it. Think it's just jokes. I don't know what that means. Man, without sarcasm or joke, but when I see... Who is this Dagobert? I don't laugh. Have you seen this portion of Cold Sweats? The story of a startup in 10 memes. We're all naive at the beginning. First time founder. What happened to him? Second time founder. He believed that being good at coding was enough to succeed. Yeah, that's a good meme. Damn. That's some serious impressions here. 16K likes. I gotta follow this Daggerbird. We don't understand what's ahead of us. Building a product is the only easy part. Building a product is the easy part. Hard work only starts after launch. First time founder. It gets harder. Yeah, exactly. This is so true. The build, which you can argue is not easy, right? I wouldn't call building software easy by any stretch of the imagination. It is hard, but it pales in comparison to the work of getting people to pay attention to you, and just like even iterating on the feedback that people give you. It's a lot of work. So this is super true. 3, and get confused by the advice we get. I need paying users. You don't have a product, but I need feedback from users to build my product, then get users. That's why I'm here. Where's your product? How can I build a good product without user feedback? Get users. Yes, exactly. It's a chicken or the egg. It's a chicken or the egg. So we look for shortcuts to reach our goals. Dev, startup, founder. This is marketing. NPM. I don't get this one. Dev, startup, founder. This is marketing. NPM, install marketing. I don't get that one. 5, and waste time on things that don't matter. You are known for, startup, founder, grit and determination. Brilliant feature ideas. Spending more time buying domains than working on your product. Yes, exactly. The name of your product does not matter. In the beginning, at least in the beginning, like the name, don't spend time trying to figure out what the name is. You're probably going to change it. But as we start experiencing failure, startup, founder, one customer unsubscribed. I'm not sure I get this one, but as we start experiencing failure, startup founder is looking at a bird or a pigeon, carrier pigeon. Oh, they're incoming. The bird's incoming. One customer unsubscribed. I guess they lost a customer there. I don't know. I don't really get that one. And get our hearts broken. A founder with a great product. Founder with a shit product but good marketing. Customers. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's true. I don't know. I've never had good marketing. I'm working on some products, but I've never had good marketing. Our obsession keeps us going. They say we see on clouds what we want most. What do you see, babe? I see us together forever. Aw. 10K monthly recurring revenue. MRR. I think that's monthly recurring revenue. I don't get the. I don't get the. I don't understand that though. Until one day we get our first one. When you spend 3 years and 100K of life savings to build a startup, then finally make your first $50. Oh, it's fucked up. Yes. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. Oh man. It's really true that it doesn't, like, when you, even if you make a little bit, I think I talked about this yesterday, even if you, like, the idea that someone will pay you for a product or a service that you built is groundbreaking if you haven't experienced that before. When I got my first client, even as a freelancer, the idea was so alien to me that someone would pay me for a service that I provided, that I added value, that they would be willing to give me thousands of dollars of their money. So that for even if it's $50, even if you know you put a 50K or 100K into the idea, that $50 still feels good because it's like, look, somebody found this useful. It wasn't all a waste. That is such a true, a true. This one I really resonate with because it doesn't matter how much it is. It's just the fact that somebody gave you money that wasn't like your friends and family, right? Like someone just thought whatever you built was useful enough to give you money for. It's a great feeling. Celebrate with friends you made along the way. Startup founder who just got their first user, other founders on Twitter. Yeah, because they get it, right? Like they get it. They get how what a slog this is. Ah, funny stuff. I make people. I think I feel 20% guilty and 80% proud that I make people sweat with memes. Oh, so this dude, man, without sarcasm, joke. But when I see Dagmar's meme in my feed, I feel anxious. I don't laugh. I don't know. Those are pretty funny. It seems like this dude has a good sense of humor. Let's see more replies. Getting distracted by new opportunities. I insert big brand name here. If you just build this complicated feature for us, it is totally different from your target market. We'd spend millions with you. Gotta stay laser focused. Yeah. Different opportunities. Yes, that is hard. There is a lot of it is really hard to stay focused, especially when you see all of these, you know, like if you do follow, you know, if you're on Twitter or on any social media, it is really, really difficult to stay focused. I think it's something that I have to actively do in the morning. So I have a pretty strict routine now. In the morning, I work on an app called Chomper that I'm building for working with a client, and I have to just be totally dialed into what I'm doing. I can't look at any, like I have Discord on my computer, I have Slack, I have Twitter, I have all of these goddamn distractions, and it's really difficult to stay focused on what you're doing. Everyone's putting out content about what they're building, and all of that stuff looks cool, and you want to engage with those people too, but you could literally spend all day on Twitter if you let yourself, or YouTube. I find I'm like pretty addicted to YouTube at this point where I have to put it down. But definitely the new opportunities. I got hit up a few times to build content for a bubble course, and I initially I said, yeah, you know what, that might be a good idea. The boot camps had just ended, so I figured that I would, you know, like it might fill that the income gap and the time gap in you know the with what I was dealing with at the time, but it was not the right move. I have no interest in creating educational content in the long term for Bubble or for any. It wasn't for Bubble. It was for another company, but it was a Bubble course or a no code course, and like that was kind of just distracting from the work that I was doing with the client. I really wanted to put more content out like this, the live streaming, and you know actual content on YouTube and you know just generally how what you know putting a more personal touch on this space. And that would have just been a distraction, but there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of you know I don't know how else to say it. There's just a lot of distractions, and which makes it difficult to stay focused. So I've been saying no to just so many things and just trying to clear. And it's so much. What you have to do is so much clearer when you've defined like, all right, this is the thing that I'm going to work on for the next 6 months to a year. Like if it's liberating. I don't have to think about what do I need to work on today. I know exactly what I'm working on from the moment I wake up. I have to do my Chomper stuff, and then I have to put out a few tweets and the YouTube shorts, and then I'm streaming at 7. My day is very very planned out, very structured, which is comforting. I don't have to worry about all this different shit, and my mind feels like it's in 20 places. Even when I was just doing the client work, even with just the bubble, if with 5, 6, 7 clients, you can do it, you can manage it, and you can make a good living from that. But you're scattered. Every project is in a different phase, and it's just so it's just too much. It's not a comfortable way to spend your time. So I'm so much happier just focusing laser focused on two different things right now. And yeah, I definitely agree that this new opportunity, kind of the grass is always greener thing is something that is challenging for me. I watched this firsthand at a previous company. Refused to go after big companies until the time was right. We focused on the SMB, small businesses. I don't know what that is. I don't know what SMB stands for. Most startups should be deer hunters. Nearly all startup founders. Not keeping track of expenses versus revenue, and then not keeping enough to pay out taxes. All right, well, this is more practical. Oh, and then holding on to things that have monthly bills but never get used. I used to work for a small company that the first week that I started there was no money to run payroll, and that was probably like the worst the worst work experience of my life. This one seems very it's I guess I guess accounting systems aren't worked out if you're growing really fast, but yeah, I don't know. But I imagine like this is a quick way to close your doors. Thinking that building new features is marketing. Yeah. This person goes, it's not? No, it's not. It's definitely not. Unless you're telling people about those features and then people are, like flocking to you because you built the right shit, then no, that building a new feature is not marketing. Working in a silo is not marketing. Let's see what we got here. Not starting early. Spending months deciding on a domain name. Yes, I love this. Everyone does this. This is going to change. Your domain name will change, guaranteed. Building all the features in the first version, 100%. That is not what you want to do. You're going to just build a bunch of shit that nobody wants. No marketing and talking to customers. Not charging until it's very late or charging less. Yeah, this is the charging part. When is the right time to start charging people? Because you feel like when you're first launching something, you feel like, oh, well, I'm just lucky to have users, right? Have anybody paying attention to this stuff. But like I think in the absence of a proper payment structure, you're not understanding the value that you're providing. People will sign up. You'll probably sign up, and you may get some feedback. But when you ask people to open their wallet, that is much different than asking them to sign up. That's a much bigger commitment, even if it's $5, $10, whatever it is. There's a whole like you're not only building to solve somebody's problem, right? That's part of it. But you're also determining how much value that really adds to their life. And I think the best metric for that is what they're willing to give you in exchange for that, which, 99% of the time is going to be their cash. So I think charging early and not giving your product away for free is a discipline that not all of us have, but it's probably a best practice. It probably is something that you should start thinking about very early. Pricing structures will change. Like anything else, like your database structure, like your app design, your pricing will change too. But there's no reason to wait to start learning how much value you're adding to your customers. I think that's my thought on that. Good tweet. I like that one. Capitalize on the launch, putting ego before actions. thinking that with money everything is easier and therefore raising money too early. Ooh, yes, the fundraising thing. Is there the idea of raising capital? I've met a few people that thought that they couldn't start their product, or they couldn't start their company, I should say, because they thought of their product and company as one and the same, which is not always true. But they thought that they couldn't start building something until they raise capital. They need to raise capital in order to pay a developer to build their idea. Now, there is so many dependencies here. You have to rely on someone to give you money, first off, which can be turned off at any time. If they give you, and by the way, even if you do raise $1 million, $2 million before you had a product, a pre-seed round, that, you know how quick that goes? That money it goes away in the business context. You could spend that money in less than 6 months. Easy, less than 6 months. So that taking people's money that early on before you validated even your idea or have any paying users, I think is irresponsible. I don't know that is the way to go, especially in this day and age when you can start building. You can put the sweat equity in with a tool like Bubble, and you can build and start getting users and really go. And at that point, say you've got 1,000 users and you've got 8,000 monthly recurring revenue, and then you go to investor. Think of how much more leverage you have. If you're going to ask for money, think of how much more leverage you have in that case, right? And I think the question there, the question you want to decide is, do I want to take anybody's money? Do I want a boss? That's what you do when you take money. When you take money from an investor, they're your boss. You kind of have to do what they want. When you take anybody's money, so I mean, you might have a good relationship, but do you really want to take on the question? If I was in that position, the question I would have for myself is, do I really want to accept this person's money and have them influence the direction that I want to go in with this project, or do I want to just see how far I can get on my own? How much faster does this need to happen? Why does it have to happen fast? That's what I always question. Why am I so in a rush? What is the rush to get this happen? Do I want to be a millionaire and retire at 40? I don't know. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? It's young. It's too young. So I don't know. I think the DIY, for me, there's definitely, I like the do-it-yourself mentality, and I resonate with people that don't want help. Like almost to a fault, right? There should be a certain point. There's an extreme of not asking for help that is just as damaging in my opinion. But like most of us fall somewhere in the middle. But I definitely lean towards the more DIY end of the spectrum. So and that's even just one part of the equation. Asking for investor money, like, so that mentality of asking, like, I need to ask for investor money to then pay a developer to develop my product. You're asking for money, and then you're paying someone else to build your idea. How is that going to work? You're relying. Why are you even in the equation? It's your idea. Ideas are cheap. Everybody has ideas. Doesn't make sense. Agree on all that marketing isn't needed. Who has time for that? Who has time for marketing? Building as a first step. Who is this smart person right here? Yasi, I'm following you. God damn it. That is fantastic. Because building as first, look, these 5 words here is probably the best response that I've seen so far. This makes me happy. Building as the first step. Now, this guy, you can go to that meme and argue that, Well, how do I get used? Well, how do I get users? You need a product. How do I get a product? You need user feedback, and you can make that circular argument. Yes, that's true. Um, I think maybe the more nuanced way to say it is that you don't need a fully functioning product to start getting feedback. Now, what was his name? Yasi or Yossi has said here is that first time founders always think that they have to have a product to show people in order to get feedback. You don't have to have a product or a fully functioning product or a pretty product. You just have to get the idea across. And you can do that with a Figma design. You can do that with Balsamic, which is a wireframing tool. You don't need to build, like, your MVP is anything that you can convey your concept with and people can react to, whether that be visually or whether that be what they say or what they click on, right? Even if it's, I think the best way to get real feedback is to put something in front of somebody and see how they use it. That's the truest feedback that you're going to get. Because if you just, I've done user interviews. And what happens a lot of the time is that if they know that you're building and something, they're going to just kind of tell you what you want to hear because you're excited about it. You're telling them your idea. You're telling them all the time that you've put into it. And naturally, just as another human, they're going to be like, oh, that's cool, John. Like, I hope I can help in any way that I can. But most likely they're not going to care that much. But if you go in, if you give them something to just put in front of them in their screen, and then you can kind of track how they're using it, that's valuable because you can see exactly what they're clicking on. What did they think this was? That's the truest feedback that you can get, in my opinion. What people say they're going to do and what they actually do, there's usually a disparity there. So this dude building first and showing the product, he's right. The build is not necessarily building, all of the features that you think people are going to want is not necessarily the first step, especially if you're building before you've really engaged with anybody on what what your idea is. This guy's just being a troll. What should the first step be? Oh wait, I know the domain name, right? That's pretty funny. Overthinking and comparing themselves with almost every similar startup. I would love to never say the word startup again. I hate that word. The idea of a startup, it has so much. It's such a buzzword at this point, right? It's like the idea of the fundraising, and we built this genius programmer, built something. Investors give him $1 million, and he turned it into a billion, right? That trope. It comes from movies like The Social Network. That happens very rarely, if at all. I'm sure there was some fabrications in that story. We have to stop believing that stuff. I don't think it happens that way. I would love the word startup to go away. I think I'm going to stop using it in those hashtags. I hate the word startup. You're building a company or you're building a product. Just say that. You're building something, not a startup. Don't build a startup. I don't like buzzwords. It's probably my beef with this. Having some fixed idea of how their startups will play out in the coming months or years, forgetting that the market they serve affects their trajectory. Having some fixed idea of how their startups will play out in the coming months or years, forgetting that the market they serve affects their trajectory. Oh, yes, Victor. Yes. Very, 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 very wise. Whatever you're building, whatever you're doing is going to change. 100%. You are never going to get it right from the beginning. It's going to take time. It's going to take learning. It's going to take you fucking up and feeling like the world just ended. But it's going to change. Most importantly, whatever you think your first idea, your first iteration of the idea is not, it's never going to work out the way you originally thought. It's going to change. It has to change. because it's like your first guess. It'd be like guessing the lottery numbers. It's not going to happen. Not doubling down on marketing without really understanding what marketing means. Putting all your effort in building and none less than half on marketing. Yeah, I mean, probably. I'd like to know what people think marketing is in this context, or what people are thinking or saying is marketing, because marketing can be anything. It could be paid ads. It could be posting things on Twitter. It could be so many different things. Here are some things, other things we see time and time again. Spending so much time working in the business that they have no time to work on the business. That's kind of a generic thing to say, I would say. Being a generalist in their field rather than a specialist. Pricing based on cost to deliver rather than value. Whatever. Spend loads going to conferences. But they're so fun. I feel like this guy is just like fucking with everybody. I like it. Tickets did a few times, still had all the fun. Alright, worrying about getting the right office, not talking to anyone about their idea, including customers, building a business plan. Yeah, business plan. I did that. I did a business plan. Fucking waste of time if you ask me. Looking for a potential business partner at a hackathon. This just made me laugh. Building a business plan. Looking for a business partner at a hackathon. Yeah, I remember going to like, not hackathon. Well, I did go to a couple of hackathons, but more like meetups and thinking you're going to find a business partner there. That doesn't work. Printing business cards, incorporating and setting up bank accounts before having anything. Yeah. Yeah, all of this is kind of good. Getting the right office. Business plan. Let's talk about business plans for a second. I think the business plan has went the way of the business card, where it's kind of a legacy thing that you're supposed to do that are the previous generation of business people told us that we were supposed to do and was the best practice, but it just doesn't seem, I don't know, at least not in the way that we were taught. If you want a business plan, maybe it should be like a page just to kind of keep you focused. I don't know. That's even arguable. I don't know if I would do that anymore. I did write like a 12-page business plan when I first started that first app idea that I had, and it was a total waste of time. It was ridiculous. There was no there's no substance to it. It's just all guessing. So I don't know why that. I don't know why. Maybe what it was is that when business plans were, popular, they're no, because business has always been the same. I don't know. I don't think that. I don't think that the exchange of a product or service for money, like that psychology, does not change. Yes, the forms and the vehicles that we deliver those on are different now, but in what way was like, I'd love to hear from somebody who wrote a business plan and executed on it and got some value from it. I would love to hear from that person, because I just have never seen someone say like, thank God I wrote that business plan. It seems like such a bullshit thing to do. It's like a resume. Maybe it's getting investor money. Maybe that's why you do it. Or maybe it's, I think I did it. I think the reason, now that I'm thinking about it, the reason I did it was a grant. There was a grant program here in Queens, in New York. And I think in order to be eligible, I had to submit a business plan. I think that's why I did it. So maybe it's more of that. Maybe it's more like, kind of a resume where you're, trying to put your best foot forward or yourself out there, summarize what your plan is. Because I mean, I guess there's something to that. If somebody's like looking to give you money, there's a fund, and like they want to see something on paper. They want to see some commitment on your part. And in the absence of actual users and or people who are or paying customers or anything like that, I suppose a business plan is the next best thing. But let's be honest, a business plan is as useless as a resume. It doesn't tell you anything about the person that you're dealing with. A lot of comments on marketing. Again, I would just like to know what people in what does marketing mean to you? In a very tactical sense. What do you mean by marketing? Building a great product and not knowing how to sell it, meh. Spending money on anything before having at least 100 to 200 customers, interviews to prove that there actually is something there. This I think is true. I think as a very first step, customer interviews can be insightful. I do. I think it gives you a. I think it's better to start with customer interviews than it is to start building. Definitely agree with that. Building on vague ideas instead of problems to solve. 100% like that. That coding is all you need to succeed. Does anybody think that? Do people think that? That's been me for the past few years, finally understanding that it's only a small part of building a business. Yeah, it's um I think, knowing how to code, knowing how to build software is a useful skill, but it's a skill. It's not a guarantee of success. It's just it's a valuable skill. Maybe we should think of it like that. It's a valuable skill, certainly. In the day and age where everything is on the internet, we're constantly staring at screens all day. Being able to build some of the stuff that you see on those screens is a valuable skill, of course, but it's definitely no guarantee of you being a millionaire if that's your definition of success. Not talking to potential users enough at all, building too much too soon, not taking payments, building in silence, no sales and marketing. Yeah, we pretty much said all of these. Believe that you are the only one, underestimate your client needs, your product is the only and most important thing, ignore the power of networking. Robert Robles just keeps popping up here. He's just in all of these with his cat. Roberto, the easiest one I can think of is not following you. Well, that's nice. Wait, was Roberto Robles the one that posted this? Oh, he was. Okay, so he's just responding to all the people that are responding. That's cool. Hiring the wrong team. Your team either makes or breaks you in between. I've never really hired a team. I mean, I've partnered with a few agencies to offload dev work, but I've never hired anybody. I would love to get to a point where everyone is just working on a freelance basis. I know companies are a thing. I mean, companies are the idea of, building a company and hiring a team. That is the what we've learned about business, since we've been taught about what we're gonna do in the world. But why can't companies just operate with all with freelancers? Even large ones. There's an interesting a new type of company, a DAO, decentralized. what the fuck's it? What is it again? Decentralized autonomous company, autonomous organization, decentralized autonomous organization. I have a buddy named Simon that works with one or is a founder of one, and it's basically just like a rolling band of specialists, and they all come together to focus on a project, and then they move on to the next thing, and it's completely decentralized. There's no boss. It's just they're just working together based on the skill sets they have. What a fascinating way to replace the idea, the concept of a top-down organization. That's interesting to me. I really hope that the world moves in that direction, and it feels like it's going that way because of all the people that are quitting their jobs, and you know, the companies are having a hard time finding talent. At least that's what we hear. I wonder how true it is, to be honest. And this is what I've been hearing. Ever since I guess Corona, people have just realized that they can make money other ways than just being employed. So that's an interesting trend that I want to see which way it goes. I was certainly on that bandwagon. I was a little bit early to that bandwagon, I think. So I quit my job to work on that startup idea in 2019, middle of 2019. And when did Corona happen? Early 2020? I was just a little bit early to that trend. Marketing, marketing, marketing. Overspending on build cost and not having a sustainable market. This happens way too often. Not focusing enough on one project only. Ooh. Yes. Not focusing enough on one project. This is another thing I see people doing. They have something that they're working on, or they come in with an idea, and they're like, oh, well, I want to get this done as soon as possible because I got 5 other ideas to work on. How are you going to do all that? Like the effort required to work on one idea, to bring it to success or to bring it to wherever you want to bring it, you can't have more than one project. I don't know. If you're building it from the ground up, how can you do that? How much time can you put in? I've heard that people can only really focus, realistically, only focus for 5 hours a day on meaningful work, meaning that you're productive for 5 hours a day. I don't know if that's true. It's just something I've heard. I want to believe that, though. I want to believe that you have an intense 5 hours where you are making the best possible decisions, and you're, just completely operating at an optimal level. But that's it. After that, all the work that you're doing is probably going to be undone in the next week or whatever. Like you're kind of just like you're working for. You're working, but you're not producing anything of value. I want to believe that's true. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it really is, but I'd love to believe that. Building in stealth mode. Yes, I see that a lot. They don't need marketing because they have an awesome product. Spend too much time making the perfect product instead of making an MVP and looking for first paid users. Sure. Adding dark mode before the launch. Yeah, no one gives a shit about dark mode. Stupid dark mode. I think only developers care about that. Building an app without a market? Yeah, right? Control freak, so bottleneck and can't scale. Not being able to state in a more simplified and untechnical way that the product does. Yes, exactly. Yes. There is a. I think you should be able to say your app idea in one sentence or less. And that's usually going to be in the form of what problem you're solving for someone. What's the headline? All right. I think I've gone through these. They're getting a little repetitive now, so I'm gonna move on. Actually, I think I'm gonna call it for today. What time is it? 8:07. Okay, sweet. Stop sharing. If you're watching, thank you. If you've tuned in, I appreciate you checking me out. I'm streaming every weekday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'd like to get more chats going around this stuff. If you're in the do-it-yourself product building space, I don't even know what the hell you call this anymore. If you're building on Bubble, if you are, and you're finding yourself looking for users of your product, come have a chat with me. I want to talk about this stuff. You're not alone. We're all working on this stuff, but it seems like everybody's working in a silo and not talking about what struggles they're actually going through. All right, so let's keep it real. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.